Hello, everyone. Hopefully, you can hear me okay. Starting a little early because I was worried about my phone being able to connect if I waited another 5 minutes. Got a little Bob Ross minifig here. Ooh, his fro is off a little bit. Randy sent Bob to me. I don't know if he's an official Lego minifig or not, but I dig him. So I'm gonna start with some sneak peeks before I go into the bullet journal. So I have decided for my blog that I am going to do some reviews of professional colors for work. I'm allowed to use blue, black, blue, and black inks. Um, so Karen from the RSVP group sent me the mother load of blue, and black inks to test out. And so Pelican Tanzanite, some Diamine Chopin, Lamy Blue Black, Califolio Equinox 5, which is a really... I love the paper reinforcer um, little dots that they put on top of their ink samples. Mont Blanc Midnight Black, another Mont Blanc JFK. Some of these I haven't even had a chance to try yet. I've got a lot of inks to test out. This is Waterman Blue Black. I have put some of them into my pens and I've been using them. Sailor Sky High, Pilot Blue, and I think this is Pilot Blue Black in one of those tiny Nalgene containers. Then we've got J. Urban, Pearl Noir. We got, oh, this is one that I put in here. It's Noodler's Heart of Darkness. Platinum Carbon Black, which is a great black ink. Noodler's Javago. Birmingham Pen Company, Tarnished Nickel. Faber-Castell, Loden. So some of these are just greens that she in particular likes. So I just made a little holder out of the cardboard box she's mailed it to me in. And this is Graf von Faber-Castell Moss Green, which is a really nice green ink. So those are all upcoming for review. And I haven't, like I said, I've only tried some of them. Not all of them are in pens as of yet. But my method of doing reviews is I'm going to be trying them on work paper, on a variety of like notebooks and journals and things. So I'll be trying things out in my Leuchtturm. I'll be trying them out in my Baron Fig Confidant that I use for my work bullet journal. I'll be testing them in a variety of papers. So, got a lot of stuff going on for the ink samples, but my ink samples, like what you're going to see on my post, will look like this. I will be using a Baron Fig Strategist. I got ink under all of my nails. So it'll show a couple of different layers of the ink, the pen that I've got it in. When you see the fiber start to lift on the Strategist, so some little notes that I've made for myself, and dry time on the Strategist. The other thing that I'm going to be doing in the reviews is I'm going to be testing it out on a Staples sticky note, which is a kind of cheap but acceptable sticky note that many of us are going to see in offices. And then I'm trying it out on a UB index card. I'm also doing what I call the drip and the white test. So if you're like me You drink a hot cup of coffee or tea at your desk in the morning, and sometimes you spill. So I like to test and see what happens if I leave the dribble of coffee or tea on the ink, and then what happens if I immediately try to wipe it. So the process is I put a few drips. I use one of these little bottles. I drip 3 or 4 drips on there, and I let it sit for the drip. And then for the wipe, drip, 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 immediately grab some tissue and try and wipe it away and see what happens with the wipe. Sometimes with the wipe, before you can find the paper towel, it smears all over the place and you're left with nothing. The drip, I let it sit for 5 to 10 minutes, depending on how distracted I get. Then I blot up the water and ink. And you can see the, this is the Diamine Chopin. And with the drip test, it did okay. With the wipe test, it did okay. So every ink performs differently in that, and to me, that's an important thing. It shows water resistance, but it also, because I do spill, I have yet to spill. Knock on wood. Um, I have yet to spill on my bullet journal at work, but I can tell it's coming. So again, it's just some. Here's the Sailor Sky High. And the drip and wipe test for that. Lamy Blue Black. Can't talk this afternoon. The Lamy Blue Black. And then the drip and wipe test. And I'm sure many of you are hearing in the background some noise from the plows and whatnot. And that's just not anything I can really help at this point. We're in the middle of a snowstorm, and it just started snowing here, and the plows are just moving. So here's Sailor Yamadori, which is one of my favorite inks, but it's not a particularly professional ink because it does tend to look green. It's also not very water resistant. The wipe was a mess. Of course, the Wing Sung 601A is a very wet writer. So let me show you some sneak peeks of the pens that I'm going to be reviewing. You're lucky that you're not getting snow yet, but yeah, I can hear the plow, so I figured I'd mention it. So I've got a bunch of pens that I am going to be reviewing. And I'll give you some ideas on how I feel about them. This is I don't know if it's Cacao or Cacao. It's K-A-C-O. I'm going to call it Cacao. Cake. I like Keiko. All right, so I'm going to go with Keiko. It's the Keiko green. And you can see the little logo there and lots of ink on my fingers. It is a very inexpensive, feels like ABS plastic. I think I saw somewhere on the website that it is ABS plastic. You can tell that it is injection molded. There are only 2 mold lines on it. And you open it up. It is a lovely hooded nib, which I'm not usually a fan of hooded nibs. There's this little clear spot between the section and the body of the pen. And when you unscrew, then it does come with a converter that holds not an insignificant amount of ink. I mean, it's not a great deal of ink, but it's not bad either. You can see a little bit of ink left in there. Clean that out. This, so far, has been one of my favorite fountain pens. The nib is smooth, out of the box, out of the packaging. It just works really, really well. When I first started this cheap Chinese fountain pen review, my intent was only to get piston fillers and the like, and I just really enjoyed the look of this pen. And it comes comes in this nifty little box, which is very sturdy, very hard. It arrives with 2 International short cartridges full of black ink. The converter is in here. It's a nice, nice little box. Nice gifty type box. I liked it a lot. In my writing, I had to drain it and put it away because I liked it so much I kept reaching for it. So it's a fun, jaunty little pen. And I haven't been to the Artists and Craftsmen in Saugus for a while. I would not want to be there when the snow started. So the other pen that I picked up, and this review is going to go up pretty quickly, is the Wing Sung 601A. There are several different versions of this pen. There's a version of it with a hooded nib, and then there is this version with the ripoff of the Schaefer Triumph nib. And this nib is a bum nib. It is not good at all. I tried to see if there was any flex. Immediately, the tines just didn't bounce back, and I wasn't using a lot of pressure. But what I really like about this pen is the filling mechanism. It's a vacuumatic style, so push and 3 or 4 little pushes on that, and it fills completely up. The other thing that I like about this is that it can be completely disassembled. So if you did really want to use it as a sketcher, you could potentially fill this with India ink and use it for sketching. I do have on order a replacement nib. They only cost about $1, so I ordered a replacement nib. We'll see what happens with that, if it's any better than this junk nib. So we'll find out. When it does write, it writes lovely, and I do really like the filling mechanism. So there's that. The cap is very secure. Yes, the Portland store is so much better. So then here are some of the pens. I've already reviewed this. If you have a chance and you're looking for a really, really good piston filling, inexpensive fountain pen, the Wing Sung 3008 is a lovely pen. It comes with a very nice nib, and this is going to become important. We'll talk about this. You can see that there's a Wing Sung logo on the pen, and that is important when you're buying these cheap pens. So another pen that I did order is the Wing Sung 3118, which, as you can see, is very similar to the 3008. 3008 has a faceted barrel. This one is smooth. They both use clear sections, the same Lamy knockoff nibs. But it also has this locking piston mechanism, which works fabulously. The big difference between this one and the 3008, I think I paid about $7 for this pen, $2.60 for this pen, which was a deal, is you will notice this one just has an F on it and not the Wing Sung logo. Let's see if you can see them. Wing Sung, you can see the Wing Sung on the one right and just the F on the one on the left. The one on the left has a terrible nib. I have, again, it did the same thing as this pen. As soon as I pushed it to paper, the tines spread out and were sprung. I did bend them back into place, and you can see that they are not quite right. So I have a bunch of these on order. They're on the boat from China, but I put them back into alignment. I smoothed them. They work okay now, but I have to be very gentle with the nib. The pen itself, the pen body, the piston mechanism works great. The feed works great. It's a wet writing pen. Feels great too. It's just the nib is terrible. And because they're not quite the same size as Lamy, you cannot actually fit a Lamy nib on there. I know a lot of people say they put their Lamy nibs onto these Wing Sungs. I have not been able to get that to work successfully. So, let me see, I've got a message on Facebook. And that's taking forever. Anyway, so then the next pen that I will be reviewing is the Jinhao 51A. I actually like this pen a lot. I did polish up this is a wooden bodied pen. It feels great. The cap is awesome. This clip is amazing. The big ball gives it some distance, and I've been able to walk around work with this clip to my shirt. It doesn't fall, it doesn't move. I also can clip it to my bullet journal, and it works great. This in particular has just a regular number 5 Jinhao nib, which is great. Inside, it's got a Jinhao converter, which is a knockoff of the Schmidt. You can actually unscrew this, pull it all apart, clean it, lubricate the piston. Works fabulous. Inside the wooden body, there are brass threads. When this arrived, the wood was quite dull. It looked pretty, but the wood was dull and didn't look all that great. So I polished it up, and it looks so much better, shiny, and like this. It's a great little pen. It writes fabulously for, I don't think I paid a whole lot for that either. I don't remember. Then I've got, I bought a couple of the Hero 616. This is a standard size Hero 616. It's also got a hooded nib. I love the blue color. The big problem with the Hero 616 is that they all have these horrible garbage aerometric fillers. Let's see if I can remove. I'm not going to be able to, I don't think, without getting ink everywhere. Oh, there it goes. Oh, watch me get ink all over myself. So it has this sack, and you can really, I don't know if you're actually going to be able to, but it's almost impossible to get a decent fill with one of these pens, and you can see that there's this little dribble of ink in there. And it doesn't matter how many times I pressed and pressed and pressed. This pen only holds, like in this, when I measured it, I filled it with water. It only holds a milliliter of ink. So this is, I guess, what would it be? Like less than half a milliliter of ink in there for me to write with. Uh, just the aerometric fillers. I will never order another one. They're terrible. That said, once you get some ink into this, the nib is nice. It keeps writing. You can leave it uncapped for quite a while, and it just writes and writes and writes. I do not like the gold and silver combination on this particular one. This was from Bobby Pen. I don't know what I can't remember what his handle is on the eBay. And then I also ordered one of the large versions of the Hero 616. And this one is burgundy. Again, hooded nib. This one had a bum nib on it, and so I pulled the nib out, replaced it with one that I have probably like 15 years ago. I bought a box of Hero pens. I can't remember what number they were, but they use the same nibs, so I don't like those other pens, and I just swapped it out. So this one I was actually able to get a decent amount of ink in, about a half a fill. Still, not great. This one holds a milliliter and a quarter of ink, so 1.3 milliliters. And so even still, I can only get half a fill, and so I'm only getting 0.75 milliliters of ink into that. I again will never do another aerometric filler. Garbage. But the pen, once I swapped out the nib, feels great. It just writes. The cap is secure. It posts well. You can write with it posts. It feels balanced. It's a great pen. Great pen. But that aerometric filler is garbage. So, but I really, really like this one. So those are some of the pens that I'm reviewing. Recently, I reviewed the Cali Arts Ego. This is a great pen if you're looking for an inexpensive piston filler that holds a ton of ink. Great nib, works well. So those are, I've got a few more things on order. Ooh, I've got, where'd it go? There it is. So I wanted to try doing some more art supply style reviews like I used to. And okay. And so I like brush pens. I like brush pens a lot for drawing. They're wonderful for sketching. And I wanted to see what some of the cheap brush pens would be like if I ordered them on eBay. So I ordered the Hero 98, which they call the sponge head pen. And what it has is at the tip, there is a spongy tip that fills with ink. Again, it's one of those garbage aerometric fillers. You cannot get a decent... This one has a black bladder, so you can't actually see. I don't think... Was it black? I don't remember. I don't know what... no, it's not black. So this one filled better than some of the others, but still not a great fill of ink. And thus far, I mean, this is a really lightweight metal body pen. I don't know if you can see how that's responding. But I've had it sitting upright in a pen cup. And it has this weird kind of grabby feel. And I used Noodler's Heart of Darkness in it. I was kind of expecting to... I'm reticent to push that aerometric filler to get the ink going, but it looks like I'm going to have to. Probably has no ink in it because you can't tell. But these are... yeah. Anyway, garbage. So that'll be a fun review. It just sort of like... it's ugly. It looks like a maggot. It feels kind of like a makeup sponge that you use when you're putting on foundation. It has that sort of feel. Not that I've put on foundation in many, many years, but anyway, don't get one of these. It's garbage. It's, God, I mean, it's just ugly. It doesn't work well. And like once it dries out, getting the ink started is hell. So don't buy one of those. It's terrible. Let me get rid of that. See if I can see. So let's see. Now, now that I've shown you all the sneak peeks, let me show you what's going on with the bullet journal. So this is my Leuchtturm 1917 bullet journal. And at work, I use a Baron Fig Confidant, which I would love to bring it home. And I was going to bring it home and do a video of it before I I thought I was going to have a chance before I started writing confidential information in it, because most of the stuff in my first 3 weeks at work was just about writing down, I need to do this by this time, I need to do this by this time, and then all of a sudden I was assigned clients, and and I couldn't, so I had confidential information all of a sudden, and can't break confidentiality. So let me show you what has changed. So first off, my future log, for people who have been asking about and what do you do with a future log and how it's used, this shows you the future log and how when things start, you write something and then you fill pages, and then you start the same topic again, you just log that next page. So I've been working on some vision statements for my blog, for my podcast. So vision statements, page 34 to 55, and then I did some more work on them on page 61. Same thing with the mission statements, pages 36 to 38, then 47, 61. Blog post, I keep a log of the blog posts that I'm hoping to do, so that the first one is on page 43, the next one is on page 73. Then I've been logging when I write my hut take on pens, those get logged. And then if I have a follow-up to it, so the first number is my hut take, the second number is the page of the not so hut take. This is more information about the pen, things that I've taken, like I've noticed. If I have a task list, so for Manuscripting Pod, I've had task list for it on page 49, then again on 70. I have some ideas for fountain pen reviews on page 51. So you see how that works. I just, as things come up again and again and again, that it gets logged, and then the next page it's mentioned on gets logged again. So that's kind of how things are right now. Let me see. Here is my future log. I'm finding this for this particular setup not particularly helpful. I will not be using this in my next bullet journal, I don't think. Because what I did was I set up all of my months all at once. I find it more helpful to take this information and go straight to March and put that information in. It is not particularly helpful to have it here and then also have my month. I hope that makes sense. So I'm going to be getting rid of this style future log and just using this style of future log going forward for my next bullet journal. Then in terms of the actual bullet journal, I don't use, in this particular bullet journal, I'm not using daily logs in the traditional sense. In my work bullet journal, I do. And I really wish I could show you that because it makes so much sense. But this, because it's all side hustle and things that I'm doing, I'm doing like a series of collections. Here are the RSVP questions. If you listened to Lenora's Back, the RSVP episode, the most recent one, titled Lenora's Back. These are the questions that we use, this kind of a framework. Here's my list of reviews, and this gives you an idea of what I've drafted, photographed, and what's coming up published. And publish should really be S. It should be scheduled for publish. So a lot of things coming up. Got a lot of things coming up on the blog. So again, hot takes. Some task lists. Some things for reviews, ideas like what's important to a review. I do a daily log for the weekends. I used to do this in my pocket notebook, but I'm kind of I have abandoned my pocket notebooks. I just find that I don't reach for it to make notes. If I'm using my bullet journal, I consistently grab this rather than my pocket notebook. feel kind of weird about that, but this has been working out really well. It's been keeping me on top of my tasks. This is this weekend's task list. I've got a bunch of things that maybe I should have covered up there. Some blog post ideas. I want to write something about hooded nibs because I, up until recently, did not like them. A product idea. Some more hot takes. More information about gifts that I got. Some lessons learned. So that's going to be another blog post. A friend of mine asked me some information about how do you figure out keywords for your website or your blog. So I was doing some thinking about that in terms of fountain pens and ink. How do I get people to come to my blog? Here's my second blog post list. This is just a list of all of those inks that I showed in the beginning of the video, so I can keep track of drafting, photographing, and scheduling. So that's pretty much where I am right now. So one of the things that I have been doing for this is I've been making notes on observations of things that I find helpful and things that I don't like. So when I do migrate into my next bullet journal, things that I will be using and things that I won't be using. So like I said, on the monthly log, I will be using the monthly log. And okay, so in this, I don't know if you can see it or not, I did not inset the date by a box, so I've been crossing out the actual date. So what I'll do when I migrate is I'll set this all over by 1 so that I can cross things off more bullet journal style instead of crossing off the actual day. So one of the things that I noticed in the bullet journal that I'm using for work is that I had it initially set up to use in the same way that I use my pocket notebooks, which is that I have an index and I just log everything. That doesn't work for a bullet journal, so I actually had to I ripped the back page out, cut the pages out in the front, glued this in so that my old style index wasn't interfering. And now that I've done that, my work bullet journal is as useful, or my work bullet journal index is as useful as my side hustle or at home bullet journal index. So yeah, so that's my bullet journal update. So the other thing that I wanted to show and give you a sort of sneak peek at are some of the journals that I am going to have come up for review. I don't know if you can hear the plows now or not. I'm sure I just hit. Okay, so I delved deep into the pits of Amazon and I ordered a couple of dot grid bullet journals or dot grid journals. They kind of bill them as bullet journals. And so there are a few things that you will notice with these. Okay, so first off, these are what I call Moleskine size. They are a little shorter and a little taller than the Leuchtturm. So if you are wedded to the Leuchtturm size, you're probably not going to like either one of these. This is the Dowtree or Towtree, depending on how you want to pronounce it. It does not have any information page in the front. It does have a pocket in the back. What I do like about the pocket is that this has I don't know if the camera's going to pick that up very well, but it is satin lined. So that is a very sturdy, it feels sturdy too. And it does have a nice braided place marker. The color of the pages is a nice off-white. They're smooth. The dots are a little darker than the Leuchtturm, but I like something a little darker than the Leuchtturm because sometimes I log my bullet journal in my living room and it's not as lit as this room is. So, yeah. What I did find with this is that a lot of the inks do look good. This was, I think, either $7.99 or $8.99. Right now, they are cheaper than that. Um, so significant. My goal with these was to find something that was significantly cheaper than the Leuchtturm, so that you're looking at something around between um, 15 and $15 or less, because the Leuchtturm is running for about $20 or so right now. So yeah, this was under $10. I think it was $7.99. Give me a second and I can actually look it up. So when I bought this one, it was $8.99. So it does, the cover is slightly squishy. It's hard, but it has like this really thick vinyl. I don't think you're going to be able to see, maybe you can see my fingernail push in a little bit. And then it does leave an indent, which will go away. Mostly I liked this one. It looks pretty good with most of the fountain pens. However, it did have some show through and bleed through with some poorly behaved inks. And it does only have 144 pages. So I did like that one. Yeah, so right now the Dautry or the Tautry is $5.95 for the dot grid version. The next version that I picked up is from Minimalism Art in San Francisco. It also has a very nice, very springy elastic, a place marker, a pocket that is also, let's see if I can get this open, satin lined. They have a Facebook page and a website, which Dautry does not. These are, I don't know if you can tell, almost identical in color. They look and kind of feel as if they could have been made in the same factory in China. They're both made in China. So the minimalist logo on the back. Then the pocket. This has a satin braid instead of a satin place marker, not braid. It's not braided like the other one. And then this one also has, very smooth off-white paper with a slightly darker dot grid than the Leuchtturm. Again, it's slightly taller, slightly narrower than the Leuchtturm. I call this it's a narrow A5, or I think it's A5, or Moleskine A5. What do they call it? A5, yeah. So it's a Moleskine A5. It's a narrow A5. But this one performed even better with all of the inks that I tested it on. Also, really, really good with pencil. So it has a nice, smooth finish. So it works well with pencil or pen. Fountain pens performed beautifully on it. Of course, as soon as I lift it up so you can see, better, it you can't like the color goes off on my phone. So it does really well with everything I put on it. It does have the moleskin style, in case of loss, please return to. There's as a reward, then their logo in the front. They also offer a 3-pack of these for around $22, which is unbelievable. This also has more pages. It has 192 pages. They are not numbered. I numbered my own. And then it does not have an index page, which I don't really care about. I find the prescribed index page in the Leuchtturm to be kind of silly and unnecessary. I mean, it's not very hard to go 1, 2, 3, skip 6 pages and start bullet journaling. I don't know. And then I find numbering the pages myself a little meditative. So I don't see the point and knocking it for that. But also $9.99 or 22 or $23 for a 3-pack. This thus far, I'm super happy with this one. I'm gonna be ordering and testing a whole bunch more. I'm already in my Leuchtturm. Where am I? I'm on page 70, 75. So I see myself going through these pretty quickly. I started this January 1st. It's only the 19th and I'm 75 pages in. Granted, this has been January is always a big month for me for writing and thinking about things and what am I going to do here? What am I going to do there? So yeah. Anyhow, let's see, did I miss anything in the chat? So the size of the dot grid in the Leuchtturm is, let me get out my little, I think it's 5 or 6. I think it's 5 millimeters. The Leuchtturm is 5 millimeters. This is the Minimalism Art. I think this one's also 5. Yeah, this one's also 5 millimeters. So it's equal to the Leuchtturm. It's just narrower page. I'm pretty sure the Towtree is also 5 millimeters. Yep. So these are all 5 millimeters or 1/4 inch. So very narrow grid. If you're gonna go with one of these, granted these are only $6 right now. So if you want to try something that's a little different than the Leuchtturm, then the Towtree or Minimalism Art are pretty good deals right now. Anyhow, any questions? Have I missed anything else? Yeah, my work bullet journal is really eating up a lot of pages too. I'm not sure what page I am in that one, but I go through at least a half dozen to a dozen pages a week, depending on how much stuff I'm learning. Like right now I'm learning how to do individualized action plans on the online system. We use electronic health records, which is a joyous thing. So I'm learning how to do all of the electronic health record stuff. So I'm taking notes as I'm doing those. I'm standing there as someone goes over it with me and I'm taking notes. Okay, to do this, you do this. You're doing an action plan. You're going to do this and do this and do this. If you want someone to work on this, then you're going to add that. So I'm just learning a whole lot of stuff and I'm burning up pages. Every week I usually use 2 pages for daily to do that, like task management, that daily log. And so I have 2 spreads for daily log plus the running to-do list, or the like generic note things. And then I have a page for supervision. So Supervision, for people who don't know what that is, when you're a therapist and you're not licensed yet, by law, the people who you work for have to provide you with supervision. Supervision is a therapist with more years of experience and a licensure. You go in, you have conversations with them about all of your clients, or not all of your clients, any questions that you might have. So they're required to talk to you about what's going on work wise. And it's often, so they have to do that. So it's basically therapy for the therapists, but it's very specific sort of therapy where you're talking about workplace things and how do I handle this sort of situation if you don't know how to. So I have to have at least two spreads, then a log for my supervision notes. Then I'm filling up pages for everything I don't know how to do yet on the electronic records. Plus, I have a page for each of my 12 clients, but each of my 12 clients doesn't necessarily take up a full page, so it might be, half page and then half page, half page. It's a lot. If I have an individual meeting or I meet with a client's family or I talk to someone's family, then I might fill up a whole additional page. So it's a minimum of 10 pages that I'm filling up per week, possibly more than that. Like I said, I don't know where I am yet with my work bullet journal. I know I'm filling up a lot of pages, and I know that'll slow down over time as I get more comfortable and I know more stuff and I don't have to ask it so many questions. But I'm going to be blowing through a lot of these. There was another journal that I tested out, and it was horrible. That review is going to go up on the. It wasn't horrible. I shouldn't call it horrible. If you stick to rollerball, or not rollerball, ballpoint and pencil, you'd be fine. It's the coloring. You color the cover. The Color It bullet journal, dot grid journal. I don't speak French. Nope. So anyway, that's it. Any final questions before I say goodbye? Other than if I speak French, how do I say I don't speak French in French? Je ne parle français. Oh, open. That's previous. So anyway, if you go back, you can see more of the bullet journal and some of the stuff I'll be reviewing on the blog. Some sneak peeks of stuff there. And thanks for viewing, everyone. And I'll make sure that I put a link to this on the RSVP Stationery Podcast Facebook page. And if you haven't subscribed yet, there's a little red subscription button down there somewhere. Hit that so that the next time I do a live video, they'll send you an alert right to your phone, which I always find obnoxious and have those alerts turned off on my phone. But you're welcome to do whatever you want on your phone. But anyway, please do subscribe. And I'll bore more people with my stationery chat. But thank you. Thank you for coming and watching. And so I'll make sure links go up all over the place. Good night, everyone. And stay safe and warm if you are in the path of this snowstorm. I know I am. Bye.